Hello there, people of the internet. For the most part, you guys know that I am a military surplus nut. I'm out here. I got a Type 99 Arisaka. This particular one is a last-ditch version. It's just kind of what I have out here. Things like this interest me. Things like commercial firearms don't necessarily interest me as much, but if we're talking military surplus stuff, then yeah, that's pretty much what interests me. Like old school military surplus stuff, not necessarily like modern made military surplus stuff to some extent. I have had a couple of people ask me, hey, why don't you do more shotgun material? And that's because for the most part, this right here is what interests me. If I have this 7.7 Jap and I load a round into it and send that round downrange, then hopefully, if I do this correctly now, stealing everything, hopefully that earns your subscription. Seeing somebody shoot a rifle like this just is not that common of an occurrence, especially if we compare it to much more common things like shotguns or modern rifles. But even with that being the case, every now and then, I will still check out like a modern gun. This right here is an AR. I'm sure somebody's gonna laugh at the sling that I got on this thing. Yeah, I know, I just threw that on there so I could carry this out comfortably to the gun range. I also have some ammunition in this. I'm kind of like burning through a bag of old ammo that I had. I have no idea if all this is actually going to fire. The first round was already a dud. Let's see if this fires. I got literally zero clue. I'm just gonna aim my steel, pull the trigger, let's see what happens. Nope, that right there is definitely a dud round. Now we got a couple more rounds. Like I've got very few rounds of 223 out here with me. A few more rounds, send down range. That one actually fired. My steel target is gone. Let's send some lead over there. Okay, I got no idea what I had on that one. Let's send some lead right there. Okay, and that's all the 223 that I have. Like that's literally all of it. So every now and then I'll show off a modern rifle like this, but for the most part I like lean towards rifles whenever it comes to what it is that I enjoy. I don't know, I just like them better. Every now and then I'll do a handgun, but for the most part military surplus rifles are my go-to. Now that being said, there is still plenty of military surplus shotguns out there. This right is probably the most notable military surplus shotgun out there. This right here is the Winchester 1897, also known as the trench gun. This you guys have seen on the channel before. This is the one where you can slam fire it as you cycle the action, hold down the trigger. It sends a bunch of lead downrange very, very rapidly. Anyone who's ever actually slam fired a shotgun knows that that feature is basically useless because you can't hit literally anything using that feature. So you're better off just firing this like normal. So whenever I do shotgun content, I kind of lean towards using like milsurp shotguns like this or interesting shotguns. Like I know I've made a couple of videos on my Norinco 98. But for the most part, like shotguns aren't really my thing. They're hard recoiling. The ammunition really isn't that expensive and it's definitely accurate enough for the distances that I shoot at. But I could, like, especially since now I have to carry all of my stuff out here, I could carry a lot more 223 out here for the same size as 12 gauge, but today I carried some 12 gauge out just because I'm making shotgun content today, because people have asked me about it. So we've all heard, I'm sure, that shotguns have their variety of uses. You can shoot birdshot, buckshot, and slug, depending on the distances and targets that you're shooting at. Depending on whether or not you want to deal with over penetration or something like that. There's like these right here just have extreme versatility. If it'll fit in a shotgun shug, you can shoot it through a shotgun. The beauty about smoothbore shotguns is you can literally fire anything from that shotgun. That's one of the things that makes it so absolutely versatile. So in this particular case, we do have ourselves a 2 3/4 inch shotgun, or chamber shotgun, shotgun chamber. That's what the words I'm looking for. Early versions of the shotguns were actually a 2 5/8, so you got to pay attention to what your shotgun is actually chambered in before you go pulling that trigger. This is a good example of actually this one right here is just a commercial one, but it's also got its military service provenance. As a matter of fact, during the First World War, whenever this rifle or this shotgun really saw its heyday, the Germans were upset that the United States was using shotguns because they were so much more effective than the long, cumbersome bolt-action rifles that they were using in their trench warfare, and they tried declaring the shotgun to be a war crime. Did not work out for the Germans, but that's what they tried doing. So I got a couple of 12-gauge shells here. Set some at downrange. I have no idea if I said it, but slam fire on a shotgun for any real practical purposes is completely useless, but just for funsies, let's do it. Why not? All right, so first fired, I'm holding the trigger down. As soon as I close this, it's gonna fire. Okay, I completely missed my target because slam firing is completely worthless. But there we go. I'm sure somebody will appreciate the fact that I slam fired this shotgun. Whenever you're getting military surplus shotguns, they're just so much more expensive than like surplus rifles and whatnot. And they're also way less common just because they were less commonly used. Something like a military surplus shotgun is not a standard issue firearm. I mean, I guess by technicality it is. It's a standard issue shotgun for the people that you're issuing shotguns to, but it's not like the main infantry firearm. It's just one of those specialty weapons where if you find it, fantastic, but if you are trying to find it, then you're gonna have to spend some time trying to find it, and whenever you do find it, they can be a little bit on the pricier side. As far as I'm concerned, I've got like 2 Mossbergs, and I think one of them's a Maverick. I got a Remington 870. I got this thing. I got several Stevens shotguns. I got single shots. I got pump actions. I got all sorts of stuff. There's just not really much incentive for me to go out and get myself another shotgun unless I just so happen to come across one that's a military surplus shotgun, with lack of better terminology. Now, if I come across one that is a commercial shotgun like this right here, but I know of its military service provenance, like say if I came across an Ithaca or something like that, then I might pick something like that up. But I've already got the shotguns, and I've already made videos on the shotguns that I have. Unless you guys want to see the same guns inside the videos repeated over and over and over, there's just not much more that I can say about them. Shotguns just really are not that big of a part in military service or in like the military surplus world, just because they're not really all that common. They're just not something that you come across very often. But whenever I do come across them, and I know what it is that I'm looking at, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go ahead and I'll take that. As a matter of fact, I should swap out the barrel for this one and throw a heat shield on top and a bayonet lug and get myself a proper setup for a trench gun. I think that would be pretty gosh darn cool. But if I just so happen to come across something like that where I'm like, okay, I know what I'm looking at here, and I know that I'm going to like it because of its significant levels of history, I'll go ahead and grab that. Maybe I could like start looking into police shotguns, because there are a lot of different police shotguns out there, definitely much more so than military surplus shotguns. So that might be something I do. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. I guess I could get behind that one. But for the most part, not really my forte, just because I'm definitely a military surplus rifle guy, just because there's so much more involved whenever it comes to military surplus rifles. Like the shotguns are, the shotgun world is I don't want to, how do I say this without angering shotgun enthusiasts? The shotgun world has less options in terms of military surplus shotguns than military surplus rifles, especially if we start getting into the variants of these military surplus rifles, and that is just where my interest lies. That's how I'm made, I guess. So my camera's dying. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks for watching, folks. I do appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next episode. while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.